Hello, I'm in the house. Let me do my checks and we'll be ready to go. We got to make sure that we're doing a lot better than yesterday. Yesterday we had a lot of technical problems. Today we don't want to have no technical problems. Ooh, what's there right there? That was super big. Hello. Hello. Okay, and we're going to have a very good show today. And I'm Lynn David Lissy, your full spectrum Gnostic. And who am I with today?
Lisa.
Excellent. It's Lynn and Lisa. She's here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're got to make sure that we're doing
here.
good. We are definitely here.
Okay.
So this is Knowledge from Beyond.
Yep.
I'm here twice a week. I'm here on Tuesdays on my Facebook page where we do encounters. We talk about everything. On this show, we talk the metaphysical. So today, I'm here to, I'm supposed to be scaring the hell out of you. And this show is going to be a little scary, not too scary. But we're going to talk about some very interesting things. And what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about vampires, fact or fiction.
Vampires. Okay. So we're going to be talking about this. And as you know, we always try to, today everyone believed that everything was created on TV and watching too much TV. And we go back to Count Dracula, the book and everything. Is there any evidence of anything before that book was written over 100 years ago? Is there any evidence of that? Is that where all this craziness come from? Or is there more than that?
Okay.
I guess we're going to find out. And we're ready to start right now. So as you normally do, we like to go back to the beginning. How far back we're going to go this time? Are we going to go back to that book? Are we going to go back further than that? Are we going to go all the way back? We're going back very, very far. We're going all the way back to the story of Adam and Eve.
That's way back.
Even before the story of Adam and Eve. In the book of Genesis, there's two creation stories. First, it says that God made man and woman, male and female from the clay of the earth. And then a chapter or two later, it says that Adam was lonely and it took a rib from Adam and created woman. Okay. Now, if they both was created from the clay of the earth, then how come he had to take a rib to make woman? And this is where, now you can't blame me. I know a lot of people are going to get upset, but this belief goes back thousands and thousands of years that Adam had more than one wife. He had two wives. Okay. He had his first wife, which was made from the clay of the earth, which was equal to him. They didn't get along too well. And then he was given a second wife. And this goes back to, now, are we talking Sumerian myths? Are we talking this and that, Babylonian, Egyptian, what? We're talking Jewish mysticism here. Oh my gosh. And the book of Ben Sura goes deep into this, and it talks about this lady. And it's not only that book that talk about it, the Sumerians and a lot of cultures talk about this person. This person even has a name. We all know about Eve, but a lot of people don't know about this other lady whose name is, what is her name?
You tell.
Lilith. Okay. And Lilith was equal to man in every way because she was created from the clay of the earth just like Adam was. And according to the book of Ben Sura, which is Jewish mysticism, they finally broke up and argued over when they was going to have sex over who was going to be on top. Now, that's a great argument to have. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? But other books say they argued and broke up because Adam was given rulership. And he tried to be, today, a lot of people believe that the man's supposed to be here, and that's the difference between a lady and a feminist. A woman is supposed to be, as it says in the Bible, a comforter of man, right? You're going to argue with that?
Okay.
Okay. Where a female is equal to man. And Lilith was equal. And she was upset when God put Adam in charge. That created the problem. And she finally left the garden. And when we're leaving the garden, it talks about in several books and Sumerian texts and whatever that Lilith was outside the garden. They tried several times to get her to return, and she would not return. And God sent several angels to talk to her, and she refused. And then she got the warning about if she did not return, that all of her offspring would be cursed. And, and it went down the list of all the things that would happen to her. Now, if she supposedly is alone by herself and there's only two other, Adam and Eve and Lilith, how can her offspring be cursed? You want to explain that? Okay. There's a lot of things in these books that don't always make sense, but they solve that. Okay. Remember, because this happened, what happened according to some of the mysticism books is that she mated with one of the fallen angels. At that time, the angels had not fallen yet. They were still upstairs, but she mated with one of the lead angel. Okay. And that's what created the new bloodline. Okay. And this is what, Lilith today, and then, before we get into that, let's talk about some other stuff. While people sing, you heard of lullabies. You ever heard of a lullaby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lullabies what is lullabies about? She's not doing very well. Lullabies you sing to your kids to comfort them. Right. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay, see, it was that simple. But where do lullabies have been sung for thousands of years? Mm-hmm. And they're not lullabies. We're pronouncing, they really was called lullabies because these songs were sung to kids to keep Lilith away. And this is even mentioned in the Bible that the women of Israel used to wear amulets around their neck to protect themselves and their children from Lilith. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Okay. And this is where this thing of singing to your baby and comforting your baby, and this is why your baby has to be watched. Okay.
Look, I'm not getting any comments. I don't
maybe there's no comments. Are you getting any on your phone?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe everybody is still in shock from what I'm saying.
No, on my phone, it's not even showing us.
Okay. Well, we are here. Okay. But we're in the house, and I will do a test since she said that to make sure that everything is okay. Oh, there we go. Right there. We got right there. Okay.
All right.
So there are some people there.
Okay.
She is saying no one is there. So just say, hey, calm down. There are people here. You're not home alone. Okay. So, but let me get back on my subject again.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Since I can calm down a little bit.
Okay. Talking about Lilith.
Right. We was talking about
Stay
Lilith.
Away.
And what Lilith did, Lilith was very upset. Now, she was threatened that her offspring was all going to be cursed and everything. Mm-hmm. But what made her really pissed off, which makes a lot of women get pissed off, is when they get replaced. And Adam and God, and Adam was in the garden crying because he was by himself. So this is why he made a sleep fall over Adam and took one of his ribs, and he did not make Adam another female, because the last female didn't work out. He made Adam a woman, a comforter, someone to comfort him. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So there's two types of women. There are women who are feminists, who are females, who are equal to man. And there's women who are women who are comforters of men. Okay. And this has been the struggle that women have always been fighting with for a very long time. Those two types of women, the feminists versus the non-feminists. Okay. And that struggle still goes on today on that side of the fence. Okay. But Lilith was very upset when she find out what that she was been replaced with Eve. And this is when Lilith decided to prey on their offspring. And this is why throughout history, Sumerian text, Egyptian text, everything, it talks about this creature that will steal babies and prey on virgin women. Okay. It describes this creature as being a woman, like a woman
who's mad.
Okay. In some text, it's a lady with wings. In some text, she's a lady that lurks in the shadows. She's described in different ways. But since she made it with one of the lead angels, she has a unique feature that separates her from the offspring of Eve. Because Adam had red blood. Eve had red blood. So their children had
red blood.
Okay, she's doing good. Okay. Now, but
okay.
This is where the beginning of the blue blood started, because these people had bluish blood.
Okay.
Okay. And this is where this is what vampirism is all about, which has been talked about for a long time, is that if your red blood get infected by their blue blood, when these creatures bite you, they can do one of two things. They can feast on you, which means they can kill you and drain your blood. That's what if they want to do that, or they can just bite you and infect you. And if they bite you and infect you, your red blood will become infected by their blue blood. Okay.
And then do we have purple blood?
No. What happens is that will kill you. Okay. That starts a conversion process. The conversion process from man to or woman to vampire is a 72-hour process. Okay. Or what the Bible refers to as 3 days and 3 nights. So if you look into all the vampire legends for going back thousands of years, it always talk about these people. Some of them are buried, some of them are not. The reason they bury you is because when you are reborn after that 72 period, that is considered your new birth. You are reborn. You get what I'm saying? Okay. You are no longer a part of your old family. You are now a part of your new family, and your life has basically restarted. Okay. And who was talking about this? The Romans and the Greeks was talking about the problem that they had in Central Europe, in Southern Europe, about these creatures that was half man turning into wolf and half man, and these and these human things that would that, you know, men have always had this thing of seeing pretty women and going off in the woods with them or going this, and a lot of times the guys never came back. You get what I'm talking about? Okay. This has been a problem for a very, very, very long time. And this happens today too. Sometimes you see that very beautiful lady in that alley over there, and she said, come over here, let's spend some time together. And you go in the alley and you just don't come back. And when those times you do come back, you're like a totally different person. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So this is the vampire myth. So the Romans talked a lot about this. And the Romans talked about this, especially in the Roman province of Transylvania. I thought Transylvania was only talked about in around the 1400s. The Romans was talking about problems in the Roman province of Transylvania around 1,000 years before that. They was having problems over there. But their main problems was not only people getting bitten. They talk a lot about people who was bitten and turning into wolves. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And these people that under the full, when there was a full moon, they would turn into wolves. And they would try to hunt these creatures down. And a lot of time when they would track them down and kill them, because they're thinking they're tracking a wolf. When they killed the wolf, they discovered that the wolf have the ring of a Roman citizen. You get what I'm saying? Okay. And why is a wolf wearing a ring? So that is where reason the Romans believed that these was, because Romans always had, that was their citizenship, was their ring. When you was a Roman citizen, they made a ring that, and that was your citizenship. You could not take the ring off. To get the ring off, you basically had to cut your finger off. But that was your proof of Roman citizenship. You had your Roman ring. You had your ring. Okay. And then they would have these problems of these wolves attacking people. They would kill the wolf, and the wolf had a ring on. Okay. Now, maybe the wolf just killed a person and liked the ring and slipped the ring on. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes those things happen in life. You get what I'm talking about? But anyway, so this been going on a very long time. Now, back to Lilith. Lilith was, so she's considered today, if you go into vampire lore or any of the dark arts, she is the mother of all the dark arts. Okay. But especially she's considered what is called the queen of the damned, or all those werewolf, vampires, all those types of creatures, the dark arts, the dark mysticism, this and that. And a lot of people worship her, especially around full moon time. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Because there's two types of people, as we talked about before. There's sun people and moon people. Okay. Sun people rises with the sun, and we go to sleep when the sun go down. Moon people can feel the moon's energy, and moon people are very active at night, and during the day they're exhausted and they want to sleep. Okay. And there is a medical condition that has been documented in England, and they have documented this and have locked people up for this, where under the medical condition of people believing there are wolves and people believing that they're vampires and people attacking people because they believe in this, but they're saying it's just a figment of their imagination. You get what I'm saying? Okay. And sometimes your imagination can get so out of hand that some of these people that believe that they're vampires or wolves can actually express changes physically to their physical body, but it is not that they're turning into a wolf, turn to a vampire. It is just, as they say, this is a medical condition, as they call it. See, we want to take everything, the mysticism out of everything. We're not saying, because if you have, how can something physically change you when you are affected by the moon and whatever, to where you actually can't express physical changes in your body? They talk about this, but they're saying this is a medical condition. Okay. And they can give you drugs to control this. Okay. So I guess even today, if you're a vampire or think you're a vampire or werewolf, they can just give you medication like everything else, and I guess they can control it. Okay, that sounds kind of scary. Do I don't know about you, but I would be.
Don't ask me.
Yeah. Okay, but even in America, this stuff has been documented. We're kind of off the thing of vampire, but these people turning to bite people or turning into these werewolf creatures, whatever you want to call them. What in America, these werewolf creatures are called dogmen. Okay. And these dogmen cases have been documented several times in places like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and states like that, where people have documented these dogmen or these werewolves where they see a person that looks like a wolf, which is wearing a torn pair of jeans or something like that. Maybe the animal killed the person and decided to wear his. You just never know. If a wolf can wear a ring, maybe a wolf can also wear jeans. You get what I'm saying? It may not be a person that wearing jeans that turned into a wolf. It could just be the wolf ate the person and decided to put his jeans on. Don't you agree? Okay. So, see, it doesn't make sense. We have to make logic out of this. Because we cannot accept that there is things in this world we cannot understand. Okay. Now, this was a European problem. Those things happen. Okay. Okay. I have problems here too. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, this was an Eastern Europe problem and whatever. And in some ancient books, it talks about that this problem did not start. And when we think of this problem to the Romans, this always goes back to Eastern Europe. Okay. But in ancient books, they talk about that this goes back to Mongolia and over in that area. So we really don't know. Maybe it didn't start in Eastern Europe. Maybe it started in Mongolia in that area and migrated to Eastern Europe and then came over this way. Then the problem spread it from that area during the time when you had a lot of strange things going on during the time of the Crusades, or before the Crusades, the time of the book about Count Dracula is really about a real person called Count Draco. He's a hero to the Albanians. Okay. And the Albanians was fighting the Turks at that time. And him and his entire clan or family was just very weird. He was fascinated by blood, and he would take baths in blood and this and that. And he was known as Draco the Impaler. What he would like to do is take long poles and run them through people and hang you up. And it could take you several hours or a day or two to die. And as you're on the pole dying, he would love to sit there and eat dinner and talk to you. And okay.
That's sick.
You think so?
That's sick.
You think there's a problem with that?
Oh, favorite pastime.
Okay. But this was the reason why the Romans was considered civilized, because this is a tangent, just so you will know. Okay. Because the barbarians would always take long poles and run it through people as a way of killing people. The Romans were civilized. They did not run poles through you and impale you. They would tie you or nail you to a pole because they were civilized. That's why Jesus was nailed to a stake or cross. He was not impaled by one because the Romans were civilized people. Okay. So now you know why during those days they was hanging people on stakes instead of, because the same thing in medieval Europe, they would tie you to a stake and burn you because again, they was civilized. They was not running the stake through you like do barbarians and impaling you with the stake. Okay. Either way, you're dead, but at least you can die the civilized way or the non-civilized way. Okay. You want to die civilized or non-civilized? Okay. But anyway, I just thought that was a little tangent, but that's what Draco the Impaler would do. But some of his ancestors and some of his family members, like there's one I can't think of her name. Gosh, what was her name? She's the one who got them all in trouble. Her name started with a I can't think of her name right now. It started with a B, but she was killing all the young virgins in her area and taking baths in their blood because she thought the blood of young virgins would keep her looking young. Okay. And this got out of hand, very bad. Okay. And they could not do anything about it because she was in the royal line of descent. So they finally nailed her into her castle. Okay. They walled her in, as they call it. But maybe people don't believe she was actually walled in because when they actually tucked the wall down, there was no bones there. So maybe they walled her in and there was a back door or a way that she got out. You get what I'm saying, don't you? Okay. Now, but this was a big problem in Southern Europe, especially around Albania and that area over there. Okay. And this problem was over there, but the people started to rise up against all these people that had these that had this blood fascination of drinking blood, baths in blood, and this and that. And this started to scare the people. And this is why you see in those Dracula movies that the people are revolting and they got their pitchforks and they are attacking the castles and this and that. And that made a lot of those people leave that area, a lot of the nobles, because the nobles was the ones that was into these blood cults. You understand? And a lot of these nobles first they moved to Paris and then they moved to London. And that is what you see in the old movies where you see these people arriving in Paris with their coffins or arriving in London with their coffins. And this even happened in America, where in New Orleans, they had a lot of trouble finding New Orleans back in those days didn't have air conditioner. They had malaria. It was super bad. And they needed women over there. The French ruled. They could not get women to go over there until these women decided to go. And they went over there with their luggages. But their luggages, they was called the coffin girls because their luggages looked like coffins. And they moved to New Orleans. All these women with their long luggages that looked like coffins. And then you had all kind of weird stuff start happening in New Orleans because maybe those luggages wasn't actual luggages. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And why these people have to carry their coffins? Because the blood that you die in and reborn in is your sacred ground. So they always need to take that ground with them wherever they go. And that's why they transport their ground or that sacred dirt with them. You get what I'm saying? So as they moved, that's the reason when these people was moving, but they always say it's not a casket, it's my luggage. But so when you have friends that their luggage just happens to look like, okay. You see what I'm saying?
A casket. Beware.
A casket, yes.
Okay.
Beware. Okay. And this is how.
I don't think you could take that on the plane nowadays.
Well, you could do a lot of things. Who knows? So this is how this problem entered into the United States. The first ever incidents of vampirism or whatever in America started in New Orleans with these vampire maidens. Okay. With their vampire luggages. You get what I'm saying? And then from there, it spread it out throughout the country. Now, this isn't something that people been talking about for several hundred years. Is this just folklore or superstition or whatever? Because you do have, in the British Museum, they have this lady who's a wax of her, who they caught. She was the Edinburgh vampire form cults. like little groups. And they caught this lady who was the head of the vampirism in Edinburgh, and they made a wax of her. Now, these stories and legends, a lot of times, is when a lot of kids start missing and women start missing. You get what I'm talking about? And then they will start hunting down for these types of people. Okay. And these legends, basically, there's been legends of this, not only, as I said, going back to Roman days, but it's always been these stories of people stealing babies and this and that and the whole 9 yards. But this has been talked about in books for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Okay. And supposedly, I can't say I know this for real, but supposedly why these people steal babies is because vampires are sterile. They cannot have kids. So to get the next generation, they take babies and infect them. And that's how they produce the next generation of vampires. Okay. And vampires are not immortals. They do have extremely long lives, though. Okay. But they do not live forever. But they can live a very long time. Okay. And with vampires, there are two types of vampires. There are, like with everything, you have the civilized ones and the non-civilized ones. Today, the civilized ones call themselves were immortals, and the non-civilized ones still go by their old name. Okay, and the and that what is the difference between the two groups today. And because it is unacceptable, because the uncivilized one see regular people as the way we see cows. They just see us as a food source. And this is what is unacceptable today. Okay. Because the civilized one do not see us as cows. They see us as they refer to us as our children. And because they live very, very long lives. Mm-hmm. Okay. Compared to us, they can live for hundreds of years. So to us, with our very short life period, what they try to do is disguise their long life by keep moving around and keep doing things like that. Because if you live in one place for 100 years and you only age 10, 15 years and 100 years, people are going to start scratching their head. Mm-hmm. So they live in one area for a while and then they move and then they move and they move mm-hmm. again. And one of the famous ones, the most famous ones today of this is two. You have Thomas Merlin in England, who this gentleman who lived in England is documented that he lived at the same address from like the 1700s up until the 1940s. And he always basically looked the same. And he would go on trips and come back, but he always looked the same. And then in the 1940s, right near when the war was starting to get very bad, he left to go on a trip, and he never returned. Okay. Maybe the Nazis got him. Okay, or maybe he decided to fake his death and move mm-hmm. to another place. And Thomas Merlin is big in England because when his house sat empty for so long, he had, his servants to take care of the house. But once a lot of the servants died off, the house was going to be torn down. And when they went to tear down the house, they discovered boxes in the basement about his diaries and his collection of creatures. And we have had a podcast about the Merlin Library, which is in London, about a lot of these things we consider fictional creatures. He actually have them in boxes of fairies, of elves, of these things that look like a half person, half insect, or this or that. And it's documented how he traveled, that he collected these things. You get what I'm talking about? But he's always talking in the first person. Mm-hmm. But sometimes he's talking about in the 1700s when he went there, or in 1834 when he went there. Okay, but How can it be first person
Yeah.
when it's, you understand what I'm talking about?
1945, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
So, how old was this guy? You get what I'm saying? Okay. And he lived in that place for, as I said, for a very long time. But according to his writings, he must have lived 400 or 500 years because everything is written in first person. When I traveled here, or I discovered about this, and I went over there and I was able to capture a specimen of this or that, and it's all written first person. And the handwriting is exactly the same.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And he's describing places that he went there, and the way he's describing them as going to London in the 1700s, or when he went to this area in the 1600s, or when he went over there. Okay, you get what I'm talking about? He's describing what the place looked like at that period in time in history. Okay. Now, was he one of them? But he must have been a civilized vampire. The civilized vampires don't go around biting people. They drink blood out of glasses. Okay. And this is the secret of vampirism today. Biting on people is not acceptable.
And how do you get blood in a glass?
You just pour it in a glass like you pour anything else in a glass. Because buying blood is not illegal. They have cotton. They have cotton. They have cotton people with briefcases full of blood, and it's not against the law. Okay, you could buy blood like you can buy anything else. It's not illegal. Okay, they have even caught people. I hate to say this, but they have even caught people, like this one girl in Florida. She was kidnapped, and a guy had her strapped to a bed, and he was draining her blood and drinking it, and she escaped out of the window. And when the police came, he wasn't charged with drinking her blood. He was only charged with kidnapping. Okay, you get what I'm saying, don't you? Okay, because drinking her blood, I guess, is not a crime. Okay, right? You get what I'm saying? Okay, but this is what they call blood fetishes today. And some people have blood fetishes. Okay, it's not that they're really drinking blood or whatever. They just have a fetish. Okay, you get what I'm saying?
Like you would say, right? Penalty on.
Okay, but see, this is why they do this little stuff, because they need to conceal this stuff from us. So even when they get caught, they say, well, he wasn't really doing it. It was a fetish, and he would have the blood, and he would do this, but he wasn't really drinking it. He wasn't really taking baths in the blood. It was, baths of blood. He would just take water and put food coloring in it. So it looked like it was real blood, but it wasn't real blood, See, they always have to, because you don't want to scare the cattle, right? You'd hate to scare the cattle, right? Okay. And that was what is going on there. Now, the other thing we want to talk about that's very scary.
What?
Around the country, in case you don't know this.
Okay.
There is a lot of vampire clubs.
Clubs?
Clubs.
Oh, okay.
Most of these clubs are
you part of one?
Where they have their little parties, and people wear their fangs, and they go in there, and are all the people in these little vampire clubs or whatever, they have their little private parties or whatever. Okay. Now, who has the real fangs and who have the fake fangs? You understand what I'm saying? And who's faking like they're biting people and whatever, and who's actually doing it for real? See, the problem is, this is what back in the 70s, some reporters wanted to investigate about the vampire clubs that was in New York City, which became a book because that lady never got found. And then when her friend went to investigate what happened to her friend, she almost didn't make it back. Okay. And these vampire clubs are everywhere, especially, in New York City, they're in Houston, they're in LA, they're in Las Vegas, they're in a lot of these big cities. Okay. And again, these are closed groups. You got to be invited in. And supposedly, these are just people that, they like to pretend they're vampires and they like to dress up in the gar and they like to.
Somebody says, I might know a secret vamp club in LA.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
You see what I'm saying? But it's secret. Okay. And spilling your beans, she could easily be the next one who comes up missing. These people don't play.
Okay.
Okay. You get what I'm saying? They are not playing.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a lot of things that goes on that the police don't like to talk about. That's the reason when they find bodies, they talk about this person was stabbed and whatever, but they know by the stabbing pattern, was this a cult group or not. If you find somebody who stabbed, and the stab wounds are in the shape of a pentagram, or if they're stabbed and they got stab wounds in the necks, or you get what I'm saying? They just said they were stabbed to death. They're not going to go into detail. But if you knew that, then maybe you was there or knew somebody who was there. Right. That's why you get into this, like when you get into Black Mass and all this other stuff. They're just pretending, or just like when they do that big thing over there in California, when they go to Bohemian Grove and they be burning the effigy of people. They're not really burning people. It's just the effigy. It's just dolls that look like real people, but it's not real people, because you would never burn real people. We all know that. So these are just things that look like real people. See, you have to do that so we don't go crazy. But I keep telling you, the earth is a cattle ranch. Okay. And every now and then, a few cattle come up missing. Okay. And the other cattle, the cows have heard these rumors about what's going on. And they just don't believe it because it can't be true. That rancher loves us. He takes care of us. He can't be feeding off of us. He can't be doing all of this stuff. That's just a rumor. I looked in his house. I didn't see no dead cows hanging anywhere. I don't know what happened to those other cows. I don't know, but he's not eating them. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of people missing in this world. There's a lot of things. Okay. We don't need to talk about it. Okay. And in this show, I'm just skipping around. I'm not spilling the beans on anything. Okay. You get what I'm saying? But I'm just here to wet your whistle about some stuff that is going on that you're not aware of. And a lot of these people that's pretending to be doing stuff, they're not pretending. Okay. A lot of people that have their robes and their sacrificial knives and whatever, and they do their rituals, and we're not really killing animals. We're not really doing it. Yeah, I do the rituals, but we don't really. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? They're just telling you that to make you feel good. In reality, they're doing everything. So, back to our vampire friends. So, this mixing of, of human blood mixed with this blue blood is where the blue bloods of Europe come from. This is the reason why it's not only the blue bloods of Europe. People said that the blue bloods of Europe is talking because they use silver spoons and that's what makes them blue. But this blue color been talked about for thousands of years. This is why Krishna was the blue child. This is why vampires have blue blood. This is why the Smurfs are blue. This is why, see, in so many of these things, they always talk about the same shade of blue. And even in the book of Enoch, it talks about how Noah was moon colored. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And that means he must be gray, right? But the color of the moon, the sacred color of the moon is what? It's blue moon. That is the sacred moon color. That's the reason when there is a blue moon, it is very, very sacred. Okay. And why is it sacred? We don't need to go there. Okay. You see what I'm saying? But this blue moon is sacred, super sacred. Okay. And people that's into that, if they're going to be a blue moon, they're going to prepare for what they need to do for that blue moon. Okay. They have special rituals, special everything that they need to do because that blue moon is very, very sacred. Okay. So this blue thing been going on for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And that's why in all these movies about aliens attacking and things like that, or these creatures coming out of the ocean, they always have that same blue color. Is that certain shade of blue that they keep showing us over and over and over and over again. Okay. Because that is the shade, because the only one who has admitted it is a lady who is in the royal family in Japan. They say that they are direct descendants of the dragon emperor. Okay. And the great dragon used to rule this world, and they are in the direct line of the dragon. Okay, that's the reason the dragon is sacred throughout all of Asia. But the dragon is not like a European dragon. The dragon is a walking dragon or a walking snake or a nagash, or what Adam seen in the garden, this walking snake. That's the reason Chinese snakes and Chinese New Year is never on the ground. It's always walking. If you go to Thailand, the snakes are walking. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So but she admit that she is a descendant of the great dragon. That's why the Bible talk about the great serpent. Okay. They're trying to tell us something, but they're also trying to, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. And this leads us into where we are today, because this serpent is not dead. The Bible says that this great serpent will come out of the water. In Necronomicon, it talk about how this great serpent or this big creature is asleep at the bottom of the ocean. Okay. And this is why they keep showing us these monster movies about this thing coming out of the ocean. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And there are cult groups that actually worship that. You have the cult of Cthulhu, which is actually praying, and they're dedicated to helping him rise when he comes. So you think when this thing come out of the ocean, everybody would be running and hiding. No, there's some people that actually prepare to help him. Okay. Because they are promised a piece of the goodies. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So this gets very, very scary. Okay. So this talks about Lilith, her descendants, which is, we didn't talk about Lilith's descendants. So Lilith is not by herself. Okay. There's something when you talk about Lilith, the people that are helping her, which is called the Lilitu. Okay. The Lilitu are these female creatures that this is the reason why men go down in the alley and don't come back, or men go off with that super beautiful woman, and when he comes back, he's a totally different person, because the Lilitu preys on men. They hate men, but they prey on us. And that is how they control us, is because men can be controlled a certain special way. Women have a talent for controlling men, and the Lilitu are experts at that. Okay. Experts. And to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, as a tangent again, Russia has two sets of spies, male spies and female spies. The most treacherous and hardest spies are the female ones, because they can get in where nobody else can get in. And they can get in really deep, if you know what I mean. Okay. Because you're not expecting a spy to be a woman. And that lady, while she's wearing the skirt, this and that, and doing everything, and she just always seemed to be with the generals, with this person. With as soon as you become an ambassador or something like that, you meet this super fantastic lady, and she did. And while you're asleep over there, she's. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? Okay. And loose lips do sink ships. Okay. This is why they shot Matahara after World War One. She was sleeping with all the British admirals, and she knew where every ship was in the British Navy. Okay. They shot her at the end of World War One, and when she refused to wear a blindfold, and she was blowing kisses to the soldiers when they pulled the trigger. Okay. This goes back very, very, very far. Okay. But the line between fantasy and reality, they keep so blurred. We don't know where the one in and where the one stops. Okay. So, any comments or anything anybody had to say? Nobody. Okay. But how many of them are there? How long can they actually live? Can they live to be 200, 300, 500 years? We don't know. See, they live secretly. They do their own thing.
Right.
Okay.
That's why we don't know how many there are.
Right.
I mean, they're just.
But the one thing they do that they do talk about is they take naps.
Oh, okay.
And they can nap
During
for
the day?
20 years, 50 years. And this is the thing that they have problems with. Okay. Because you got to think, if you're going to nap for 20 years, you got to find a safe place. Because you could go to sleep.
I napped for 20 years.
You could go out in the woods in the middle of a farm and go in a barn and take a nap, and you wake up in the middle of a subdivision. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're trying to find, and this is one of their problems they've been having for a very long time, is trying to find a safe place to nap. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to take a nap for 20 years, we can't even imagine that. Okay. But they do that. Why they do that? Because the books say they get bored with life and they decide to take a nap. And they take a nap for 20 years, 50 years. And sometimes when they wake up, it's not good. Right? Because the world has changed. That's why they don't carry money. Because when you go to sleep and wake up 50 years later, your money may not be any good anymore. Okay. So vampires don't carry money. They carry gemstones. They carry gold and silver. They carry things that keep its value. And that's one thing that people say about these people like Moreland, Moreland guy, or these other people, that they have a lot of jewelry or a lot of gemstones, but the cuts on the stones are very old-fashioned, or the gold is in very old-fashioned styles of chain. Because when they bought that chain, that was the latest style 200 years ago. And today, nobody wearing that style anymore. You get what I'm saying, don't you?
They come back to.
And a gold coin is a gold coin, but their gold, where did you get that coin? That coin's 150 years old. And how did you get that? And it looks like it's in new condition. I had it in a safe place. You know, and my grandfather gave it to me. Or they have all kind of great stories. Okay. But they cannot carry cash. Cash do not do overtime, right? Paper keeps changing.
Doesn't keep its value.
No, gold, silver, and precious gemstones. And the most famous, I'm running out of time, of all the immortals is whom? Saint Germain. He was the most famous of all the immortals. And Saint Germain he's no longer here. He has ascended. Okay. So he is no longer here. Because what they have to do, since they, only have one life, at the end of their life, they must ascend. If not, they're finished. Okay. So he supposedly has ascended, but we really don't understand this. It's just like with the God myths. Gods don't die. They just been sent to the underworld. It's been to the underworld and getting killed one in the same. Okay, it's dying and ascending under the same. See, we think we don't really have all the answers, right? But Saint Germain has been pictured. This same guy, he was at several events throughout history. He was at the wedding of Queen Elizabeth when she took the throne back in the 1950s. He was there when, he have always been there when big events happen. And over the last several hundred years, this same guy with the same description, he was at Versailles, he was here, he was there, you understand what I'm saying, don't you? And he had met with the ruler of this country, the ruler of this country, but it's the same guy. So what would it be like if you lived 400, 500, 600 years? You understand what I'm saying? If you was born when, right?
Crazy. Yeah.
And when you talk about, I can remember the Civil War. That was when I was a kid. I remember the Civil War when I was a kid. Okay. What would that be like? Okay. Well, Civil War wasn't even that long. It was only 150 years ago. So if you live 500, 600 years, this country is only 250 years old. So you could remember. You get what I'm saying? You could remember the Pilgrims, everything. So it would be very, very hard. And that's the problem with sleeping. If you came here in the good old days when it was just the Indians and you took a nap and you woke up and it's like, where's all these settlers come from, right? So, but how many of them are there? If you had the choice to become one of them, would you like to do that? Would you? But once you do the conversion, as I said, your old family, you are dead to them because you died. You are born again. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, and you're not the same. And how this is done is all in secret. A lot of it is, we don't know the difference between the real and the fantasy. So, and the ones who do know are not talking.
Right.
Yes. So you can get in trouble. And, and as I said, hanging around those vampire cults, a lot of them have fake fangs, but there's probably one or two of them there who has real ones. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you want to look more into this, there's a lot of stuff on the internet and stuff about this. But again, it's all mixed. But these stories of these creatures, of these people, are in Africa, it's in Asia, it's in South America, North America, this and that. And this is how you know that something is a real event. Because if something is just made up, it's just an American legend or this or that or whatever. But these stories of these people that feed on blood and do this and that, and these creatures that can turn from animal to man and whatever, these stories are all over the world and can be found in every civilization. So that is what tells me that there's something's going on that we don't know about. I hope you enjoyed our little talk today and it gives you something to think about. I'm not saying I know it all, but I believe that there are something there. And a lot of these, and if you want to look more into the subject, you can start digging. And if there's something you would like for me to talk about, and next week or another time, or you have an area of interest, feel free to let us know, and we'll be glad to talk about it too. This is Len David Livesey, your full spectrum Gnostic, and whom I'm with?
Lisa.
Excellent. It was Len and Lisa. And you have to give her some comments so she'll have something to talk about and a few things to say. Excellent. I hope to see everybody next week. You enjoy your weekend, and happy Cinco de Mayo. We're out of here. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. And then watch the other shows on the Spirit Realm Network. They have a lot of good shows here. Bye.